Let me just start by saying that this woman has the wettest, and not in a good way, name
What?
I have ever heard.
The wettest
Just listen to listen to how just wet this sounds. Elizabeth Tracy May Wettlaufer.
Ooh.
It sounds very wet.
Well,
and
you
not
got
just
the
because
word
it says
wet.
Wettlaufer. I don't know. It just comes off as really wet to me.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Elizabeth
It's gross.
Tracy May.
Elizabeth Tracy May Wettlaufer.
That's not a great name.
It's a Canadian woman who was born June 10th, 1967, a Gemini, who was raised in Zora, Ontario. This is a super rural rural community, rural juror. And she had a strict fundamentalist Baptist upbringing that continued into her college years as she enrolled in London Baptist Bible College in the mid-'80s.
No.
Correct. After graduating with whatever fucking degree you can get from Bible college, she enrolled in a Conestoga college to attain her nursing license, because what the fuck can you do with Bible college? And no, I don't feel bad ragging on this at all.
I don't either. It should be, it's like if you want to go to a Bible college, by all means, but then you graduate with a degree in Bible studies.
Yep.
Well, you don't
figure out what you do with it.
With a universally applicable degree.
Is it just like a Christian school, like a Catholic school?
I don't know.
Like super
because
Christian
there are
universities.
specific Bible colleges that are not just like a Catholic university.
But you can still be like a communications major.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bible.
It's just the emphasis in her background was very much on the religion, the Bible college.
Bible college.
Mm-hmm.
Bible college accreditation.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The reason I will not feel bad ragging on this specifically in this case is because Wettlaufer had struggled as a child. She was bullied and she was questioning her sexuality. And when she tried to come out to her family as gay, her parents literally said, no, you can't be a lesbian because of their affiliation with the church.
Mm-hmm.
And sent her to conversion therapy. So this was like all this poor girl knew. So of course she's going to fucking go to Bible college.
Yeah.
The whole thing
Trauma.
makes me want to fucking throw up. And anyway, so she went to conversion therapy. She went to Bible college. She ended up right out of Bible college. She married a long haul trucker and they were together for 11 years and he was on the road constantly and they didn't have any children.
Well, yeah, she probably was
She's
like,
gay.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely. So she's like, I'm just going to
great, he's
get
not
married
around very often.
to someone who's never home
live
so
in
that my
peace.
fucking Christian community will just get off my nut about.
Sounds great.
gay.
That was a good loophole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. This is all incredibly heartbreaking. It's clearly responsible for her developing serious mental health issues and substance use disorder, but it does not by any means absolve her of her insidious crimes. As we say, your mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that she's not a shit person just because she was treated like shit.
Right.
But it just means be cautious who you treat like shit, because
Or don't treat people like shit, because
That's
then
what I
shit
mean.
will just perpetuate.
yeah, shit perpetuates shit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Although not
just keep that in
everyone
mind.
who has been dealt shit will
Of course not.
commit shit,
Of course not.
as we all know. Continue.
Yeah. It's just don't treat people like shit,
Yeah.
period.
Would be great.
Because, like, in rare occasions, you can end up with this situation. So, Elizabeth Wett landed a job
Liz
with
Wett. Beth Wett.
Liz.
such a
She did
Beth
go by
Wetter.
Beth. She did go by Beth.
She's Beth Wett.
She did go by Beth. Beth Wett.
She wet her Beth.
She wet.
Yep.
She wet the Beth.
Definitely went the Beth.
Oh no.
So she landed a job with a place called Crescent Care, which kept autocorrecting to Crescent Care because Crescent in the way that they use it isn't a fucking word. And can we stop naming companies this so that I can then read my fucking notes later and not be confused? I'm fine. It's day one of my period. I'm very annoyed by that. This is a long-term care facility for the elderly near her hometown. She was well liked there. She did a fine job. She was professional. She seemed to really care about her patients and the surrounding staff. And one of her main responsibilities included distributing medications to residents.
Ooh.
You know exactly where this is going.
Yeah.
Not long after establishing herself there, her coworkers started to notice odd behavior and suspected Wettlaufer was showing up to work drunk or under the influence of drugs, some of which she was suspected of stealing from the facility.
Maybe she
As
was
she had-
just tired.
Maybe. Overworked. I mean, all of the above could be true.
Maybe she was
but
pregnant and has been
She was
seeing
not
things.
pregnant. She was not pregnant. Okay, so she was suspected of stealing drugs from the facility. She had access to the locked pharmacy for med distribution as part of her job. Things were glaringly obvious that there was like a big old problem when a colleague discovered her completely passed out during an overnight shift and struggled to wake her up. And before Lucy goes
Maybe
there,
she's just pregnant.
it wasn't just an oops, I nodded off situation. It was like hard to wake her back up. She was clearly under the
It
influence
was
of
an
something.
oops, I'm nodding off because I'm taking opiates situation.
A little
Got
bit,
it.
probably.
Got it.
So this incident got her written up, but she was allowed to return to work.
No. God
She
damn
was.
it.
The behavior did seem better after disciplinary action, but not completely remedied. And then some other weird shit started happening. Sorry, a burp.
Ghosts?
I wish. Sadly, no ghosts.
I was promised ghosts in Kenyon's segment.
I
Ghouls.
never promised a
I
single
said
ghost.
real life ghouls.
Oh,
You hear what you want to hear. That doesn't mean we said any of that.
I just want ghosts.
I know, but this was not the one. So she was suspended 4 times for, quote, medication-related errors, which from what I gathered meant she was not only giving patients the wrong medication, but also possibly caught dipping her own hand in the
probably.
company's stash.
Shortchanging the meds.
Yeah, exactly. Giving
Yep.
them ibuprofen and she was taking the good shit.
The good stuff. Yeah.
Schedule
So
1.
patients
Old
at
people
the
get
facility,
the good stuff too.
Yeah.
they're supposed to, but if she's stealing it,
All right, that's what I'm saying.
then they're not getting it. So patients at the facility that she worked started to pass away with some regularity, but the fact of the matter was they were old, and families and the colleagues in a lot of cases believed that the causes of death were natural. And despite med mix-ups, Wettlaufer wasn't or couldn't be directly connected to these deaths at the time. No one's ordering autopsies
Yeah.
because they're not going to take on that expense unless a family is like asking for that.
Right.
And then if the family wants it, the family's paying for it, not the care home.
Right.
So if the family is assuming it was a natural death because their loved one is old, they're not asking for autopsies, and the care home isn't going to
yeah,
fucking
she
order
can just
them.
get
The
away
care
with it in
home-
perpetuity.
The care home doesn't want there to be an issue on their hands.
Of course not.
If she had
Exactly.
just held her shit together better, she probably never would have been caught.
Oh, it's funny that you say that
Oh my God.
because she truly would never have been caught, even without her shit being held together. So a serious incident, quote unquote, occurred in 2014. I can only assume another resident death that was sus enough to take action, resulting in her firing from Crescent Care. And like we've seen in other medical cases, like with systemic hospital angel of death type shit, it didn't mean that she had any scars on her record. Like she was able to get another job at a new facility.
Yeah,
and
they didn't want to ruin their own reputation, and so they quietly fired her.
and gave glowing recommendations.
Great.
So from the Washington Post, quote, Elizabeth Wettlaufer arrived for her first day of work as a nurse at the Meadow Park nursing home in 2014 with glowing references.
Oh.
So she was fired from Crescent Care in 2014. Probably just a few months later, now she's at Meadow Park.
Yeah.
And glowing references after being suspended 4 times and fired, passed out on the job, and likely caught stealing meds and patients dying under her care. So maybe just don't write a reference at all. You don't have to write a glowing reference. Maybe just don't write a reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
Right.
the motivation for the glowing references?
Just
They
keeping,
hand her off to somebody else
keeping
and
suspicion off of them so they don't
and,
get
yeah.
sued.
Precisely.
Yeah, I guess. Oof.
So this goes on to say she was well liked. They said a good worker who loved to mentor and teach. Nothing revealed that Wettlaufer had been disciplined several times for incompetence, maltreatment of residents and colleagues, and medical errors. Her supervisors did not indicate that she had been fired for administering insulin to the wrong patient.
Well, that could fucking kill ya.
Oh, shit.
While still working at the new facility, her substance use disorder escalated, and she checked herself into the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, CAMH.
Oh, I bet some of the errors were because she was just fucked up.
Probably. Well, some of them.
Like
but
some of them, like the insulin one, it's not like she's benefiting from, unless she's like a psycho.
Unless she's killing the
Unless she's
residents.
an angel of death. Is she an angel of death? Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind.
in Toronto. While in treatment, she, quote, gave a chaotic account of several elderly patients who died in her care that left the psychiatric team at her mental health facility confused and alarmed. One of the treatment techniques used at the center that she was getting rehab in was journaling, and what Wettlaufer revealed in her journals was extremely alarming. From Oxygen.com. Wettlaufer said that in September of 2007, this is when she first started working at Crescent Care, she got the urge to overdose 84-year-old James Silcox, who she claimed had been inappropriate.
Ooh.
Which, like, what 84-year-old man isn't inappropriate?
Right.
And that doesn't mean we can kill him. You can hate him, but you can't kill him.
Right.
She wrote a similar entry about taking the life of 84-year-old Maurice Granat.
She likes the 84-year-olds.
I guess. Wettlaufer also detailed the final moments of other seniors who were under her care between 2007 and 2014.
Was somebody just like, Beth Wet, these journals in rehab
J'excuse?
are not
Yo, Beth.
privileged.
Yeah. this ain't it, honey.
This isn't patient-client privilege situation. You just admitted to murder.
And frankly, even if it was, you have a duty to report. So it's like, you done fucked up. Even if she had told just like her medical doctor this, they're supposed to tell on you.
Yo, Beth.
You really didn't. You didn't do it right.
Honey.
Is this your journal? Huh?
Honey, no. It's got your name on it, Beth. It's in your locker. So CAMH staffers were unsure if Wettlaufer's account was real or just rantings, but reported them to authorities. So they did what they were supposed to do. Rob Hagerman, now a retired detective inspector with the Ontario Provincial Police, was assigned the case after they reported this. On the heels of this confession, she also resigned from her job. And after her confession seemed to be confirmed as legitimate, she was taken into the police for questioning. During questioning, she admitted to injecting James Silcox, 84, at Crescent Care with enough insulin to directly cause death on August 11, 2007, and said this was, and said this was her first time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He was a World War II veteran and father of 6.
84
At this
also pretty young.
Yeah, not that old.
Mm-mm. Yeah. At this facility, she killed 6 more patients using the same method. Maurice Mo Granat, 84, Gladys Millard, 87, Helen Matheson, 95, Mary Zerwinski, 96, Helen Young, 90, cute name for someone who's 90, but God bless. Maureen Pickering, 79. And while at Crescent Care, she also injected Michael Priddle, 63, and Wayne Hedges, 57, with intent to murder.
Jesus
It's very likely
Christ.
they were there under the same circumstances that like my dad was for a rehabilitative thing that they likely were not going to stay there forever.
So this
she tried to kill them, but they survived.
This is all with the old insulin trick.
Yep.
Oh,
that
so
was
she
her.
was a fucking angel of death.
Yep. She wasn't just mixing up people's meds. She was intentionally injecting people. She was also definitely stealing meds to do drugs, but it wasn't an
Just-
oops.
Which is bad enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After leaving Crescent Care, she had a part-time job with Meadow Park facility, but also made house calls. Until she checked herself into rehab, she managed to kill Arpad Horvath, 75, at Meadow Park, and injected Sandra Towler, 77, with intent to murder at a retirement home in Paris, Ontario. And Sandra survived. And also injected Beverly Bertram, 68 years old, with intent to murder at a private residence in Ingersoll, Ontario. And Beverly also survived. So she killed 8 people, but she injected a lot of people. Yeah.
How did they figure out that she did all this?
She confessed.
Oh, she confessed. Because
she confessed to everything. And then everything matched up.
Because it's really hard to prove later the insulin injection stuff.
Yeah, but basically just like her confession and the timeline of everything. And we'll kind of get to that too, how they confirmed it, but she gave it all up. And had she not, no one would have known.
Wow.
If she hadn't said anything, she would have kept on working. She probably could have done this most of her life if she wanted to.
Wow.
And here's where I triggered myself, because as I was writing this, I'm just like, I just want to point out that this is not a peaceful way to die.
She's not just like letting old people fall asleep, and
No.
not that that's good, okay either, but like
It's not. But like as a type 1 diabetic, I've experienced extreme low blood sugar that has almost resulted in hospitalization. And the symptoms are really fucking scary. Like they include anxiety, panic, scrambled cognition, partial paralysis, seizures, overheating, full body sweats. Like you can barely see, like your vision is all fucked up. And like I've been in a situation where I had severe low blood sugar and I literally told Bill, I think I'm dying, call 911. Cause like I thought I was
just
actively
like
dying.
terror and confusion.
Yeah, because you are dying. Like
So-
your body can't function without glucose. So every alarm bell in your entire body is telling you like you're dying in these situations.
So insulin suppresses the glucose production.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and it's not even like production. Insulin is what breaks down glucose. Like
so all
in
the
your
glucose is destroyed. You don't have any to run on.
pretty much. Like
okay.
it's just if you have too much insulin, then you have a way too little glucose, and like your entire body, all of your organs run on that.
So diabetics need either insulin or sugar to balance out.
It's a constant balance all the time.
Okay.
And your body does naturally create, and like your organs will also release glucose, like your liver releases glucose. So like you do have to be constantly on top of keeping your glucose from spiking too high. But like high blood sugar has more devastating long-term effects, like my dad losing his foot or like blindness, etc. But the low blood sugar, that's the immediate emergency.
Right.
Like if your blood sugar is really low, you could die.
Right.
And clearly
Right.
all of these people did.
Wow. Okay.
So it's just like, it's very scary. It's very panic inducing. I've definitely woken up very rarely, but it has happened to like EMTs giving me glucagon, which I want to remind everyone, if you're diabetic, make sure your at-home glucagon isn't expired, because that can happen. But it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
So you don't just like get low blood sugar and not know that it's happening and peacefully pass out and drift off to sleep. Like your body goes into panic mode,
And
screaming
she
at you
was
to get food in
probably
your system.
Standing there watching this happen, and on some level
Probably.
getting off on it.
Ugh.
Yep. So that was like really fucking scary to think about. It's horrible. This next portion is from Wikipedia and the Washington Post, and it's just fucking creepy. So in her confession, Wettlaufer admitted that she, quote, knew the difference between right and wrong, but she was visited by surges that she could not control. She said God or the devil or whatever wanted me to do it. After one murder, she felt, quote, the surging. She would call it the red surge.
Ooh.
And then heard her own laughter afterwards. Which was really, it was like a cackling from the pit of hell, end quote. Wettlaufer told police that. She also told police that she had tried to stop killing and that she had told friends, a former partner, and her pastor what she had done, but no one took her seriously.
Come
the fuck?
on.
As a side note, I also read that she had told a lawyer who urged her to keep it a secret. I can't confirm that, but I did read that in another article.
I think pastors, they're not
I don't think-
they're not mandatory reporters, but
They're
like
not mandated reporters.
yes, but like I
You
actually
have a moral and ethical obligation.
Of course.
I think.
I asked my priest directly this one time during one of my RE classes. I said, if somebody confesses in confession that they've murdered someone, do you have to say? And he's like, that's what God would want you to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not, like you said, they're not a mandated
It's not
reporter. They
legally
don't have-
mandated, but
yeah.
it's like, it's pretty fucked up that they didn't.
Pretty fucked up. During the police interview, she described the laughter not as audible laughter, but as a feeling within her chest. And she would like visually use her hands to show what she meant. while the feeling prompting her to overdose and subsequently kill as coming from her stomach region. Wettlaufer never claimed to derive pleasure from the killings, stating that she felt horrible. I know.
No, you just described pleasure.
Yep. Stating that she felt horrible after murdering each victim, but had also said when she felt what she called the red surge come over her, she would kill.
Red surge. That's so creepy.
And that she felt
The
a
book title
feeling
writes
of
itself.
It's very
I know, right?
menstrual.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
And each death, she said, brought a feeling of euphoria.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know how else you would say that you're getting pleasure out of it. I can't. When asked about an elderly resident who died under her watch, Wettlaufer said, I got the feeling inside that it was his time to go.
It
But that's
literally
fucking
was
bullshit.
it, and
Yep.
you made it.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Eileen E. Gillies, G., who worked on this case, said, quote, when Wettlaufer committed the offenses, the victims were still enjoying their lives and their loved ones were still enjoying time with them. It was not mercy to harm or kill them.
Especially
They weren't
that,
on their deathbed.
50-some-year-old guy.
Yes, you tried to kill a 57-year-old man
And
who
even
was
with the
probably
older
there for
people,
temporary
it's like-
rehabilitation.
Like Zach's grandma's 93.
She's still crushing it.
Yeah, she got to meet her great granddaughter. Like
Mhm.
She is a joy with her greeting
she
cards.
is an absolute fucking joy. Remind
Yep.
me to tell you about the latest card. It is priceless.
Okay, great. I need it. But the investigation couldn't begin and end with just her confession alone, especially because she made these statements while committed to a mental health facility. And while police believed the validity of her claims and all the timelines added up, they needed everything they could to make sure this would all hold up in court. So basically, it was like actual disciplinary record of like what she had been caught mixing up and fucking around with was part of this. Also, a look at her computer revealed multiple searches of her victims and searches into insulin overdose. And she was it was enough. She was
Yeah.
formally charged with the 8 murders that she had confessed to on October 25th, 2017, and charged with an additional 4 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault on January 13th, 2017. She waived her right to a preliminary hearing. She confessed to all the charges in court on June 1st, 2017.
Interesting.
I think she had hit a point where once it was out, she was like, she clearly wanted to tell someone.
Yeah.
She committed herself into a psychiatric facility for both her mental health and for her substance use disorder.
Yeah. Interesting.
Told all.
Yeah.
They reported her, told all to the police. I think she had just hit a wall and was like, I've got to get it out. This is probably part of why I feel so
It's
fucked
very
up.
weepy voiced killer in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
I
can't,
can't stop
Totally.
killing someone.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the way that he phrased that. It's really creepy.
very awkward.
absurd. It's so awkward. So on June 26th, she was sentenced to 8 concurrent life terms in prison with no possibility of parole for at least 25 years. She entered prison at 50 years old, and it's very likely that she will die there.
Especially
When
if
this
a
went-
guard thinks it's her time.
Exactly. Mercy. When this went public, people were understandably outraged, mostly because nobody would have fucking known if she hadn't come forward herself.
Yeah.
People in higher positions at these facilities were clearly trying to protect their own necks and their own wallets and not putting patient care 1st, despite Wettlaufer's colleagues raising concerns about her since 1995, the year she began her nursing
And
career.
she confessed in what, 2014?
Yeah. Yep.
Jesus
Or
Christ.
2016, she confessed.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine like reading about this in the newspaper and like your parent had been in that nursing home?
Oh, I would have been terrified.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Pretty much. I mean, the fact that she at least went away for all of the people that she confessed to killing is great, but like, we don't know if there are more, though I suspect there aren't because she did confess to a lot. So like, what would be the point of not confessing?
She might
To
have
everyone,
forgotten some of their names.
But she could have forgotten some. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like Lucy said, there's really no solid way to go back and investigate everyone that maybe died under suspicious
yeah.
circumstances in her
In a
care.
nursing home.
Right.
Right.
So we really just have to take her word for it, which is fucking
Great.
a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
quote, the evidence in this inquiry shows that nothing would have triggered an investigation into Wettlaufer or the incidents underlying the offenses, said Commissioner
She never would have
Gillies.
been caught.
Commissioner G. This finding, she said, is significant because it tells us that to prevent similar tragedies in the future, we cannot continue to do the same things in the same ways in the long-term care system.
Because imagine how many people are doing it now
It's just like that guy, that nurse.
Mm-hmm.
in England.
No, there's
one in England. There's one at I covered him. He worked in hospitals all over like New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
There's a really good documentary and a really good
Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne.
The Good Nurse.
Yeah.
Movie.
Mm-hmm.
Forgetting the name.
Is that the Dr. Death guy?
No.
The good.
The movie's called The Good Nurse.
Yeah, Dr. Death is a whole different guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but it's just so much of the problem, obviously, is the individual who is harming people, but the system protecting them because they don't want to have to take responsibility and have it come back on them and affect their bottom line.
Mm-hmm. It kind of, again, goes back to the privatization.
Mm-hmm. So I guess the only decent thing to come from this was the launch of a full-scale inquiry headed by Commissioner G into Ontario's care system. And part of the overhaul includes calls to strengthen the management of medications at long-term care homes, bolster background and reference checks for prospective employees, and increase funding for nursing staff when necessary so that there are like more resources and nurses so things don't slip through the cracks like that.
Yes, certain things should not just be up to the facility whether or not to include in someone's reference. It should have to be like mandated, like if you're caught doing a specific
disciplinary record has to be included.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then it's like, all right, if disciplinary record has to be included, then I guess we're just not going to
write it down.
Keep disciplinary record. It's like, it's just, like Lucy said, until the privatization issue is addressed, they will always have a reason to want to protect their bottom line.
The incentives are just not lined up.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. As for holding higher ups in these care homes responsible for their obvious covering up to save their own asses, I couldn't find anything indicating that they were held responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So until the system no longer operates to put profit or funding over people, these issues are gonna continue. We've seen it before. We've covered cases like this before. We will cover cases like this again. Another reason privatize healthcare, and this is in Canada, where it's like it's not the same structure of healthcare,
but it's
as it is here.
Flawed.
But it's still flawed. They still operate under like a capitalist democracy,
and it's not just healthcare; it's the nursing homes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. The line just seems pretty clear to me where you can trace
accountability.
Yeah, exactly. It's really fucking sad.
Well, I sure hope you liked that clip. If you did like that clip, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a nice review, and joining us on Patreon for even more video content, audio content, salacious content all around. Come join us. Treat yourself.